everyone. This is Bill Griffin. Welcome to Different Take Podcast. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Really appreciate you watching. New episodes every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today I want to talk about this headline I saw. And this is dated September 27th, 2022. Columbia students react to their college being ranked worst for free speech on campus. So Columbia is an Ivy League school, very sought after, prestigious university. And they're ranked the worst out of 200 colleges. 45,000 students are surveyed. This was done by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. There are some interviews of the college students. I find it quite interesting. But before I get to that, they were interviewed about this ranking, how they felt about it, and whether they thought it was appropriate. But before I get to that, prior to this, 3 months prior to this, I saw this interview published between a gentleman named Floyd Abrams and Columbia president. His name is Lee Bollinger. So I'd like to show you a little bit of two clips from that. Here's the first one.
Looking more broadly, where would you say we stand in terms of First Amendment on American college campuses?
Yeah. Well, of course, talking to you, Floyd, is talking to one of the icons of the.
I wanted to present the question. I cut the answer off because he drones on for 3 minutes. Just the entire interview is sort of like this. The only thing he said in those 3 minutes that he thinks free speech is flourishing on college campuses. Amazingly, with this ranking, this gentleman is an attorney by training and also teaches a class on First Amendment. Teaches a class once a year. That's what he says. Here's a little later in the interview.
I worry all the time about efforts to characterize universities, especially coming from the right in American political society, in American politics, to criticize universities for being filled with intolerance as a way to delegitimize university.
So this answer is kind of interesting because you'll see the college students, several of them do not support the college president in this assertion that everything's hunky-dory. There's been plenty of ostracizing of, say, Republican Party activists in colleges, and they're shunned and all this sort of thing. This is something like an hour-long interview, and he just really says the words hate speech don't come up, but you'll see with the college students, they freely discuss hate speech. The big takeaway is this fella could talk the paint off the walls. He talks, and really says nothing. Here's a post that I saw on YouTube. As I said, you comment on YouTube, Kit Kat Cats. Takes 400 words to say what can be said in 20, the result of a modern formal education. I thought that was very appropriate for this gentleman, Lee Bollinger, Columbia president, and he thinks free speech is going great. He teaches a class on the First Amendment. Okay, here's what the Columbia students say, some of them say about this.
It is a little surprising to me, but I guess I could see there are definitely ways I guess Columbia could improve. So
I've heard maybe some people with certain political views might not be able to express their opinions because it might be perceived as offensive. So I guess that might be part of it, but I feel like that can happen anywhere.
You do kind of have to walk on eggshells a bit because you don't want to offend anybody. And I guess the general culture, at least from what I've seen so far, is that if you do kind of misstep, people aren't really as forgiving as you'd like them to be. Types of speech that should be banned?
I think like hate speech.
Hate speech is unacceptable.
I think that hate speech should definitely at least be monitored.
I feel like hate speech, like just things that like, you know, make people feel unwelcome.
Like hate speech, yeah, that's not good to be hearing, but I think everything else, as long as it's like furthering ideas and all that, that's good to talk about.
Like, obviously, like you can say whatever you want, like physically, but like there's going to be like social repercussions and like legal repercussions if you say like certain things. So it's like people should just be like more careful about what they say.
Limitations should really reflect First Amendment kind of limitations, where obviously you can't, no fighting words, no, I don't want to say no hate speech, because that's very loosely defined.
There were some students prior to this short clip that would claim, well, there's not an issue because I don't have an issue. You know, think about maybe other students do have an issue and really care. But comments there clearly indicate that with some students, they think it's not as hunky-dory as the Columbia president says it is, that students are encouraged or guided, if you will, to only think a certain way. And his comments about the right sort of indicate that too. So the students claim that hate speech must be banned. This wasn't really a concept pre-internet social media. Hate speech is protected. You can say all kinds of despicable things, but prior to social media being so present everywhere, ever present, folks would understand that someone could say something very despicable as long as it wasn't defamatory or they're inciting violence or deceiving, deceptive advertising, or I mean, there's a number of things that you're not allowed to do. Well, there'll be legal consequences, but hate speech isn't one of them. So what you have is folks like this president who, I'm sure, because he doesn't mention hate speech in an hour-long interview at all, but his students do. But the gentleman that is at the very end of this clip, he's dead on. This would be impossible to monitor and effectively control speech on campus. So he's dead on, and obviously the Columbia University is not the place to go if you are on the right. This president makes that very clear, in my opinion. Don't come here. I don't want you here. Our administration doesn't want you here, and our students don't want you here. And I don't think you can take it any other way. So I've talked about this before in the past. Hate speech is protected. People say despicable things, and those people are generally, they can be criticized. You can protest groups that say certain things, or people, or that sort of thing. That's perfectly fine. You're exercising your right to free speech. And we're talking about political speech. That was the main thing that this amendment, that's the main objective of this amendment when it was put in place. So that's my episode today. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate you watching and your support. Thank you.